Hari Om. Sahana vavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Savahai Tejasvanavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Hari Om. We are taking up the study of a Upanishad. And when we say this Upanishad, even though we might think that we can just jump into this wagon, no. For this we have to also have certain, when in earlier days, traditionally, when studies were taken up of the Upanishad of Vedanta, there would be certain eligibility criteria for the students to start off. Why? Because this knowledge, unlike the worldly knowledge, is not information based. It is not something about something other than me. Rather, it is not about the object, but it is about me. The subject here is this self, is me, right? And therefore, we have to do a bit of enquiry, get into that mode of enquiry, and then when we proceed, we will see little by little certain results. Not that it is going to happen very instantly. Even if we say that, okay, Shravana matrena jnanam bhavati, this is what is told, but that Shravana, for that kind of Shravana which will give you direct result, what is important? This vehicle or this instrument of this body, mind, intellect, of this jiva, this individual who I am, it should also be ready for it. As even if we have to go towards medical science, I cannot become doctor just in one day. I can't approach that study immediately. There has to be certain foundation which has to be built, and then only I can approach the actual study, be it whichever science that we do, right? So to here also it is the same. Now knowing that some of each of us has had some kind of background knowledge in this field that we have approached. So what is this background knowledge that we have got for ourselves, right? It is not just it is not just about the world. This knowledge that we have got through Shastra, through some foundational texts that we have done, right? Like some of us said that we have studied Vishnu Sahasranam, or some of us said that we have done some foundation Vedanta course, or some of us have done some Prakaran Granthas. So what is the roadmap like? Like even on CIF website we will see this roadmap which has been put. How should I approach this Vedantic study? So in that comes some foundational texts, some Prakarana Granthas as we refer to them. So what are these Prakaran Granthas? So these are those texts which will give me that base ground to further then go on to the study of Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and the Brahma Sutra. Why did I name only these three? Upanishads, that is the Shruti Grantha, Bhagavad Gita, which is the Smriti Grantha, and Brahma Sutra, which is what? Which is the final text which is giving me clarity on the Upanishadic concepts, or on the on the concepts which are there, have certain doubts about. Okay, so what is it that why do we call these the Prasthana Trayi? What do we call it? We call it the Prasthana Trayi. Prasthana Trayi, the path through to progress towards that ultimate through these three texts. These three primary texts are essential for that. First one is what we said, Shruti. Shruti, the Shruti Granthas or Shruti Shastra is what? It is the Vedanta. That which is the essence of the Vedas is Veda Anta. Anta over here does not mean the end portion of the Vedas, rather that which is the essence, Anta, that which is within the Vedas is the Vedanta. The core of the Vedas is Vedanta. And what is the core of the Vedas? Is the Shrutis, that is the Upanishad. So if we see the Upanishads, where are they found? We say that okay, the Vedas are compiled into 4. Though Veda is 1, it is compiled into 4. So we say Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharvana, the 4 Vedas, and in each of these we have sections, and intertwined or interspersed in them is the Upanishads. So where we have we have the Upāsana Kanda, we also have the Jnana Kanda. So this we see is so systematic or so structured how the Vedas are. These Vedas are what? Are they authored by a certain person, or are they copyrighted by someone? No. They are revelations. They are revelations which were caught by whom, or which were absorbed by whom? By the rishis, or the saints of yesteryears, of the ancient times, who were so pure or were so sattvic that their thoughts or the thoughts which came to them as revelations came to them or could stay with them because of the purity of their mind. So here that purity of the mind is what? Purity of the mind is there where there was no kind of disturbance. There was no such obstacle for them or obstruction in their minds, unlike how we are having now. Why would you say that we have some obstacles and they didn't have? So if we look even at this moment, right? Some of us have tuned on to our phone, right? And with the phone, what are we doing? We are connecting online. Now, if a call comes, what will happen? We will be distracted. If a message comes, we will be distracted. Where is it coming? In me, it is coming external to me. That message might come outside of me, but who is affected? I am affected by it. Right? Such is the mind in today's day and age, where there are so many distractions from so many different mediums, where my interaction is not limited to this body alone, to other people around me alone, but also to devices and gadgets around me. So, and go in the past, thousands of years earlier, when there was no such disturbances, where that rishi could sit quietly without any effort at all. Effortlessly they could glide into that state where they could tune into that divine. Then there was no, there was no pressure of doing some work, there was no competitiveness, there was no struggle to survive. There was plenty available in this land which is Bharat, right? And that happened very easily. Tuning into the higher could happen very easily. Not just for my moksha, but even for artha or dharma. One could tune in or meditate and gain those vibrations. So, and it is therefore that, we had scientists like Aryabhatta, or we had surgeons like Sushruta, where they didn't even have instruments and yet could know by just mere calculations, small minor calculations, they could know how to go about a surgery, how to calculate the distance between the earth and the sun, right? So all this was done how? It was more done through that meditativeness, through that purity of mind. So therefore, when we come back to this, our subject, what is our subject? Our subject is knowing ourselves. And where do I come to know it? It is through Shastra Adhyayana, right? Through the study of the scriptures, I can go towards it. Now, is it just about any scripture? No. So here therefore, the three primary granthas or three primary texts that are focused on are the Prasthana Trayi. First one is the Upanishads, second is the Bhagavad Gita, which is Smriti Grantha. Smriti Grantha, which was recollected. So recollected means something that happened in history and you were recollecting it, right? So what was that? So there was the Mahabharata which happened, there was the Ram. In the Mahabharata only, there was the conversation which was, which was compiled by Ved Vyasji as the Bhagavad Gita. The conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, which was compiled into 700 verses, which is now, known as the Lord's song, the Bhagavad Gita. So there is the Shruti, that is the Upanishads, there is the Smriti, that is the Bhagavad Gita, and then we have from the Nyaya Shastra, we have the Brahma Sutra. Who has now, who was it who compiled this Brahma Sutra, and what is this Brahma Sutra? Brahma Sutra is basically, as we said, whatever doubts or confusions would arise while study of these Shrutis and Smritis, right? Those were noted down and a study was made, and the sutras were compiled by Ved Vyasji again. So we have to think what a great repository of knowledge this Ved Vyasji was, and it was thanks to him and thanks to his foresighted vision that we are able to study the Upanishads, we are able to study the Bhagavad Gita, we are able to study the Brahma Sutra. And not just that, we also have the Puranas that further elaborate these these sutras which are given in the Brahma Sutra. Again, who was the one who compiled those Puranas also? The Bhagavatam and others. The 18 Puranas, again, it was Ved Vyasji only, right? So we have a great debt towards the Guru Parampara, which not only brought this knowledge together, but also had the vision of passing it on from one generation to the next through this Guru Parampara, through this tradition of the Guru Parampara. So as we said, what is it that the Prakran Granthas do then? Coming back to our study, just to understand Okay, some of us have studied Hanuman Chalisa, some of us have studied some other texts like Sadhana Panchakam, Drig Drishya Vivek. So if we see these texts which are there, these texts were compiled in order to give further clarity on these concepts of the Upanishads. Okay, because if we look at the Upanishads, these are mantras. These mantras, what are the mantras doing? They are, as we said, they are revelations, and they are in short and concise form, not necessarily like, they run into pages. So not necessarily that each and every concept will be explained to us. And therefore, again, the rishis, what did they do with foresight? One is they wrote the bhashya, commentary on these Upanishads. Such as who? Such as our Adi Shankaracharya ji. Why do I say our? Because here, it is just that since I am seated here in this Adi Shankara Nilayam where he was born, it is he who is the boss of this place. So there is this kind of familiarity that comes in. But of course, there is a lot of reverence for Adi Shankaracharya ji, because not only did he study those granthas, but he also further wrote commentaries. So he wrote commentaries on the Upanishads, which is said to be bhashya. And then further his disciples, what did they do? Did they try to one up that? No. What they did was, wherever they felt that maybe there will be a slight gap in understanding something, then they wrote tika, they wrote tippanis on it, which are like footnotes to explain further. Nowhere is the knowledge to be compromised. In fact, the knowledge should be effortlessly flowing for everyone. So we had even modern day saints such as Swami Chinmayananji, who wrote commentary on the same in English, and then further other disciples who came under, such as Puja Swami Tejamayananji and others, who wrote even further in made it even more simple and lucid in other languages also, such as Hindi, such as in Sanskrit they wrote further small texts that would simplify this understanding for us, right? So here what is the effort? Effort is that this knowledge is made simple. Now further, before we go towards this Upanishad, one understanding which we have to gain for ourselves is that how am I to connect with this text? How is it that I should take to the study of this text? Because fine, many times people ask this question. Okay, you say that there are Prakaran Granthas, and in them, you have some, a text such as Sadhana Panchakam with 5 verses, concisely Adi Shankaracharya ji has given the, the path to this self-unfoldment. Fine. Then further you have a text like Tattva Bodh, which is a Prakaran Grantha or foundational text which gives definitions that will come, definitions of the terms that are used in Upanishads, in Bhagavad Gita. Fine, you have that. Then you have, an other Prakaran Grantha which is Atma Bodha. Atma Bodha again compiled by whom or composed by whom? It was Adi Shankaracharya only who composed that Atma Bodha. And what does this text do? This text gives us the concepts which are used in the Upanishads and Prakaran Granthas and the Bhagavad Gita. So these concepts, such as what? Such as the rope snake, or such as such as that of Adhyasa. What is Adhyasa? Or what is Adhyaropa? Or what does it mean when you say that it is knowledge alone which is the which is the solution for ignorance. So the concepts which we might not have otherwise otherwise thought on or reflected about, Adi Shankaracharya ji has brought them in poetic form and explained them with very beautiful examples. And this comes under that text called Atma Bodha. And each of these texts, okay, even though they are only foundational texts, each of these texts at the end of it will culminate in that which is the purpose of any or prayojan of any of the foundational texts or any of the Vedantic texts. And what is that? Jiva Brahma Aikya. So what is the purport or what is the objective or what is the purpose of any of the Vedantic texts? It should culminate in the Aikya or the oneness between Jiva, this which I call the individual self, and Brahma, that that totality which is also called Ishvara, which is also called Brahma, which is called that Paramatma. So that Jiva, this individual, and that Paramatma is one and the same. This is the purport of any of our texts, Vedantic texts, right? So here again, when we say, we said which are the basic foundational texts. One, we said that it is essential that we study maybe the Sadhana Panchakam, we understand the terms and definitions through through the Tattva Bodha, through Atma Bodha we understand the concepts that are covered, and then further through a text such as Upadesha Sara, which was composed by Ramana Maharshi ji. What does this text tell us about? It talks about the different paths to reach that one goal of Atma Vidya. And what is the importance of each of these paths and which is the best one for me? Or rather, are the different paths actually different? Are the different paths actually essentially required, or is one path essential? So that is covered through this Upadesha Sara. Right? And then further to bring to my knowledge, what is the hard-hitting truths of life, because I might gain knowledge through Shravana matrena jnanam bhavati, as we said before, right? And what does that say? Maybe the Mahavakya which is there, which says Tattvamasi, or the Mahavakya which is Aham Brahmasmi, or right, all these Mahavakyas are telling the one truth only, maybe with different words, right? But even after listening to this and even after understanding what it means, I am still in this world, I am still struggling, I am still having problems, not only with people around me, but also when I am alone by myself also I have problems, right? So why is this happening? Why isn't this knowledge not working for me? So when these questions are there, what is essential to understand? That the knowledge has come to me, but I am not able to abide in that knowledge. I am not able to sit within this knowledge, or I am not able to sync that truth with that which is the truth which I have identified myself with, right? So I am still considering myself to be this body or this mind. So how do I come to terms with this? That is, further told through a text like Bhaja Govindam also, which tells me what is the hard-hitting reality of the world. And how is it told? As though hammer, a hammer is used to put that nail in place, right? So the hard-hitting reality of the world is as though hammered into us, right? And therefore it is called Moha Mudgara. And this is the Bhaja Govindam, the text, which was again compiled by not just Adi Shankaracharya ji, but there were also his disciples who came, right? So these are the Prakarana Granthas. So we said, fine, there are certain foundational texts required, and these will give me clarity further into the concepts or the mantras which are elaborating on that truth in the Upanishads, also too in the Bhagavad Gita. So when I am studying any text, then you might say that, okay, if I have studied a Prakarana Grantha, is it sufficient to give me this knowledge, or do I have to do this Kaivalya Upanishad? Or you will say that, oh, there are 108 Upanishads and there are some minor Upanishads, and that is what, Gurudev has also, if we read the introduction, do read the introduction which Gurudev has given, right? So many Upanishads are there now. Do I have to study each of these, or do I go to only one, or how is it going to happen, right? So for this, when we start our study itself, we have to understand what is this text going to give to me, what is it that I am going to gain from this text, and why should I connect with this text. So if we take for example any of us going through any experience in this world, what is it that comes to me at the end? Either sukha comes or dukkha comes, either there is joy or sorrow, right? So if joy or sorrow is coming, one question I might have to ask, for whom is this joy or sorrow? For whom is this joy or sorrow which is coming? Is it for this body? Is it for this mind? Or is it for some subtle entity which is something that I can't even access right now? For whom are the joys and sorrows that I experience? And who is this who experiences these joys or sorrows? So when we say that, is it my body? Because if we say that, if I eat a gulab jamun, who is going to benefit from that? Is it my tongue? Is it my belly, my stomach? Or in my mind, does it cause some kind of thought vibration which says, oh, now I'm happy? But if we inquire into any of this happiness, right, that happiness, how much does it last? Because in my mind also the thought will be there only for a fraction of a second. If I say that it is my tongue which is happy, which means my body, right? How much will that happiness be? It will be only for, as long as the taste is there on the tongue, right? So actually speaking, this joy or sorrow that I experience, who is experiencing that? And where is this spoken of? If we say in the world, if we look broadly, is it the medical science which discusses this joys and sorrows? Or is there any other science which speaks of it? None of these worldly sciences will speak of it. It is our Shastra, it is the scriptures that speak of this happiness factor, right? So, and therefore, when it comes to some enquiry into what is truly satisfaction, or what is truly that wholesome happiness, that Purnatva, or that everlasting eternal happiness that I am seeking, when I try to inquire into it, where do I know more about it? So when we go towards it, then further as we inquire, we understand that, okay, somewhere I have to turn to the scriptures, right, to the Shastra. So basically we are saying what? This, who is the one who is experiencing this worldly happiness? We are saying it is the Jiva, it is the individual. Because, even if another individual is happy, it doesn't mean I am happy, right? This happiness is not very objective, that happiness is more a subjective science, right? And to know more about it, where do I have to look? I have to look within. I have to turn within and start inquiring about it. And this vichara or this inquiry is what is spoken of in the Upanishads. Now further, if we try to understand, why me as an individual am I suffering or going through these incomplete kind of experiences? Why is it that my happiness is coming with certain conditions? Why is it, like there are conditions, right, that apply to any happiness that I have in the world. That of temporariness, right? Or not just temporariness, but also pain. Even if I eat that sweet, somewhere it is going to bother me. Somewhere it is going to tell me, you ate too much sweet, and therefore now there is some after effect of it, right? So there is not just association with temporariness, there is also some kind of pain or sorrow which is associated with it. And further, what else is there? This instrument which is there, with my senses, with my mind, with my limbs, my karmendriyas, and so to my jnanendriyas, all this entire instrument, it over a period of time, it will drain itself. It is not going to be capable of giving me as much happiness as when I started with that experience. Somewhere it is going to drain, right? Maybe at the beginning of the innings, I hit a 4, I hit a 6 also, I ran also, but slowly what is going to happen? My energy is going to dissipate. So I will also have to refill or rejuvenate that energy in some way. So there is the failure of, or dissipation of my instruments also which is there. And further what? If we try to inquire into any experience, there is also this feeling of dissatisfaction guaranteed. Why, you will say, why, what are you saying? I enjoy everything, I even climb mountains, etc. Very good. But what happens? That experience which has a beginning, it also has an end, right? Just as this body which was born, one day is going to die also. What is going to die? The body is going to die. So, further and further as we inquire, we want to know why is this mechanism working like this? Why is there not, this continuous unending happiness which I should gain? I get a taste of that happiness, why am I not able to sustain it for longer and longer? So this, when we inquire into, then Shastra tells me that, hey, you as an individual, you are prone to 3 types of defects. What are these defects, right? So what are these defects? So one is mala. Okay. Mala. Second is vikshepa. Third is avarna. Okay. So mala, when we say, it means impurities. Vikshepa, it means projections. And third, avarna means what? That veiling of ignorance or avidya. Okay. So now if we look slightly more deeper into it, what does mala mean? You will say that, oh, I am a very clean individual, I am very pure, there is no mala in me, and I have a bath every day. In fact, I try to take, as whenever I go out and come back also, etc., I try to have a lot of hygiene and everything. I have no mala. But unfortunately, at a very subtle level, we have this mala. What is this mala? Mala, if we try to see in our world experience, is nothing but that which expresses as our likes and dislikes. That which becomes our behavior pattern over a period of time. When I face a certain situation, I either say that this I like or this I don't like. This which is coming about is what? It is nothing but that mala. This tendency to have a certain type of reaction or certain type of response to certain paristhithis or certain circumstances is what we call as mala. Why do we call it as mala? Why is it an impurity? Because this is what then stops me from having that wholesome experience. How do we say that? This we have to, reflect on our own and see for ourselves, right? Like say, suppose if I am, I'm faced with one situation where say, there is a lot of crowd and I have to wait in a queue. There might be some people who will respond in a very calm manner. They will not be bothered. They will say, okay, this was expected. This is how we should be, and this is how I would tackle this particular situation, right? I know that I am going to be standing in a queue, so I have certain works which I can stand and do right here and now. I will not be, bothered. If I have to stand, I will stand, and I will continue to do what I have to do, right? Then there will be some others who will, all the time be talking, disturbing others and keep, shouting or keep getting irritated. Such a person is saying, I just don't like being in a queue. So same situation, different response. Why is this? Because I have chosen this response before also. Before also I have gone through this experience and I have decided this I don't like or this I like. So this becomes, when over a period of time I repeat the experience, this becomes my thought impression, and therefore I develop this tendency to respond or react to a situation in a particular way. That gets built into my system and that becomes my behavior pattern or this is what colors my thinking or my tendency to act, right? So therefore what happens? A person or an individual keeps fighting with parasthiti, circumstances, right? And keeps changing the external. Every time I face a challenge, I say, oh, I have to change. This is not good for me or this is good for me, and I will keep moving with the circumstances. But somewhere when such a person observes this pattern and thinks in a different way or starts understanding that maybe I'm in the not so right way because I keep getting the same result. Why? Because I'm doing the same, repeating the same way of functioning. Another way. Instead of keeping on coming back to the same and same way of functioning, there must be some other way out of this, right? So when one starts thinking in that manner, only then what will happen? The person will realize that it is not the external paristhiti which I have to change. That will keep happening by itself. What do I have to change? I have to change my manasthiti. It is my response to the situations which I can change. It is my response to the situation which will help me come out better in any circumstance face the challenge as it is, right? So this, when will it happen? When I look past the mala, when I look past that likes and dislikes which I am facing, right? Then there is further what? The second defect is vikshepa. What is this vikshepa? It is, it is the expression of the rajoguna in me. What is this rajoguna? That which makes me always be in action. That which tells me ki, don't sit still, keep doing, and keep seeking more and more and more. Right? So this rajoguna, what does it do? It makes me not just, be calm in any situation. It pushes me to react in a certain manner. Like in what manner? So there is, if things don't go in the way I want them to go, then there will be krodha. If I gain something, then I say that, oh, but I want more. So there is lobha or greed. Then further what are the other shad ripus? The 6 ripus or 6 enemies that an individual has. So it starts with kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. The 6 negativities which are there, or which are there waiting to jump in and help me with the situation. No, help me spoil the situation, right? So this happens when rajoguna is more in me, when that rajoguna is such that I want to keep being in action, not with much of foresight, and therefore I keep getting into problem. Why? Because at the base of any action here, there is the desire. The kama is there strongly. I want to gain something, and in order to gain that one thing, that selfishness that comes in, to have something for me which I don't have, or to keep something that which I have and I want more of, or I don't want to let go of. And what comes in? Then this kama, which is at the base of any action, leads to krodha, anger, leads to moha, delusion, where I am not able to think clearly. And then I also see matsarya, I see envy. Someone else is getting it, I am not getting it. Then I also see greed, I should have more and more of it. So this is how vikshepa, or the projections of my mind, operate. And where does all this, what is the root of all this? The root of all this is not knowing my true identity. The root of all this is having this ignorance in me, which is strongly in place. And what is this ignorance? What is this defect which plays up as the ignorance? Is that veiling of ignorance which is keeping away the knowledge. What is that? That is avarna, the third defect, right? So this avarna is what is keeping me away from my goal. The purpose of my existence I am not aware of, right? Or it is veiled from me. It is veiled as in, it is always there. It is never far from my thought. But what has happened? It is as though some kind of veiling is covering that knowledge from me, or keeping away that knowledge from me. Why? Because my mala, vikshepa are always at play, right? So it is only when I understand that I am kind of hitting the wall every time I am trying to make these adjustments, and therefore what do I do in this process also? What do? I don't own up that I can change my situation. I keep saying that someone else is playing. No, it is someone else who is responsible for all my shortcomings. It is responsible for all the situations or experiences that I go with. When it is something good that happens, I say it is me only. But when it is something which is bad, which is happening, I say that, oh, this God, he is very partial, he doesn't like me at all. And therefore, what is happening? Somewhere I am not understanding that karma theory, and instead I am just going about into, this illogical way of thinking, right? And it is only when I realize that there is this avarana, or there is this ignorance, avidya about myself, which is keeping me away from this true happiness which is ever mine, then I realize that, there is karma yoga at play. There is this karma which is always at play, and I am my destiny. It is not that it is happening by itself. Moment to moment, it is my decisions which are at play. So, who is to blame? Is it the parasthiti, or is it my manasthiti? I have to change, and for that, what is the root problem is this avidya or ignorance. So, when ignorance is the problem, what then is the solution? It is not some action. It is not some action that I have to do in order to get rid of that ignorance. I have to have the knowledge. And that knowledge is going to come only when I am able to bring in that purity of mind, that is chitta shuddhi. And that is going to further lead me towards accessing that knowledge which I can gain through what? Through approaching the right guru, through guru upasati, and then further gaining that knowledge persistently through shravana, manana, nididhyasana. The method which is being given again by the scriptures itself, right? So, bondage or bandhana is where it is because of the avidya which is within me, which is causing that avarana, resulting in that, what did the three? There is the, we have the mala, and we have the vikshepa and the avarana. The three defects, they are coming about because of this avidya or ignorance. So, what is the study of this Upanishad going to do? This study of the Upanishad is going to reveal that true nature which is myself, which is going to tell me that you are ever that happiness which you seek. You are ever that jnana swarupa which needs no external knowledge. Now, we will conclude here. I thought I will just do a kind of brief starting into why we are going to study, what is the problem, and then and then we'll proceed on to the Upanishad in the next session. And because we are starting, so I thought I will just chant the Shanti mantra and we'll conclude. Okay. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashye Makshabhirya Jatraah Sthirairangai Spuštuvagam Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastaksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Hari Om.